All right, we're going to welcome everyone to, I don't know what week it is. It's
7.
7. Yeah, that's right. We're halfway through. Thank you. King is obviously the one of us who is not overindulged already this evening. So he actually remembers what, week it is, much less what day it is. Week 7, picks from Joe's. Here we go. King and I both at home, believe it or not. Shocking development. Drink for this evening, my usual Dos Equis Amber. King, what are you sporting there?
You can't see it, but there's a gin and cranberry juice.
Oh, very nice. In the Eskimo Joe's cup.
Of course.
Very, very nice. See, it's a nice little tip of the cap for picks from Joe's to Eskimo Joe's. They're probably busy running and hiding and putting up disclaimers for the whole thing right now. So
it's funny, when I first started this and I actually wrote them there, I got kicked out one time writing it because my friend was there and we were going over it together. And I guess I'm sitting there having some beers, getting louder and louder and louder. And God, I can't remember what season now. I think Tech was coming up there, and Tech was still decent back then. And I said something about what this Red Raider could. I can't even remember what it was. It was obscene, of course. But this is at like 4:30 in the afternoon, and me and my buddy are just crushed. And they're like, "Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to leave." Like, got kicked out of Joe's before it was a bar, so. All right.
There we go. Well, they're not going to have a shot at us tonight, that's for sure. All right, so we're about to wind up October. Couple of good games closing out October. One this week, one next week. That should have a pretty solid impact on it's just going to be a great November. I mean, you agree, right? This is just going to be a crazy ass November for the Big 12.
Well, they've managed to. I mean, in theory, you should still have 3 undefeated teams next week, which gives you just a huge setup. Let's see. Should probably be 3 undefeated teams and a 1 loss team going into November, and then they all play each other. So it should be amazing.
Yeah, no, this should be just like every week. Every week's going to have a game that just has, it's like everything rides on the game. Every week will be, this is the biggest game in the Big 12 this year. That's really what's going to turn out to be. And the last weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, how could you ask for anything better on Thanksgiving weekend than you're going to get Friday, Baylor at TCU, and on Saturday, Bedlam in Stillwater. And both of those games should have implications. There's a chance Bedlam could be meaningless. There's definitely a chance Bedlam could be meaningless. But that could just be an epic Thanksgiving weekend of football for the Big 12. So anyway, so this weekend, still middle of the season, it's week 7. You got a couple of teams on bye, TCU and West Virginia, both teams that could probably use a bye. TCU's defense, I'm sure, could use a bye, and West Virginia they're just looking to hide anyway. So as we get going here, the by far and away, without question, the least interesting game of the week. All right, and this has really been determined by the fans. I just want you to understand, this has really been determined by the fans and the prices on StubHub. Iowa State at Baylor. Okay, are you ready for this? There are not quite 1,800 tickets, just a hair under 1,800 tickets available for this game for the grand total price starting at $14. There must be like a Baptist dance cotillion or something going on in Waco for these tickets to be like so easily available, so cheap.
It must be, open. It's open house at the Dr. Pepper plant. Run on it. That's what I don't understand. And I guess another reason I hate Baylor. There's plenty of them, but you've never actually. I remember in 2011 packet stands every game because we thought this year we actually have a chance. Baylor, and from what I've seen of them, as much as I hate to admit it, they're fucking great. They legitimately have a chance. You're Baylor. Inevitably, you're going to, whatever happens, is going to get taken away from you when the cheating finally gets caught. So you need to be there live and in person to enjoy it, because the history books will be erased at some point. But and especially, God, if you're a Baylor fan and you want to take the kids to see a guaranteed W, I mean, it's hard to guarantee a win in college football today, but for $14, y'all to sell those things out in the next half hour.
Starting at $14, you could go see arguably the best offense in the country, arguably, with a guaranteed win. They are going to put up points. I mean, I said this the other day, I hope Iowa State brings protection, man, because this is about to only be enjoyable for one of you.
Now, on the flip side, if Iowa State were to do this, I would probably paint my chest with a cyclone for next week. I'd learn their fight song. I mean, there's very few limits to how far I'd go if Iowa State were to pull it off. So, any Hawkeye fans, Cyclone fans out there, I don't care who plays them. Just remember that. That's extra motivation. I will embarrass myself on the internet for strangers if Baylor loses.
Did you hear that? Wide right, natty light. You gotta make the connection, man. You gotta show the team picks from Joe's. Because I can imagine no greater motivation than King guaranteeing he will embarrass himself on the internet if Iowa State beats Baylor in Waco. Oh my goodness. All right. The line, what do we got? Baylor favored by 37. I'd be all over Baylor. Over under is 78.
I guess they're figuring Iowa State can put up about 18.
Yeah. I'm not the over under. I mean, Baylor's gonna put up 60 plus. So it's all about what you think Iowa State's going to put up, but I'd definitely stick with Baylor at minus 37 down there. Third, what's that?
I was just saying the lines for Baylor are reaching the point where they're just like, that's more entertaining than the game itself. Is will they cover this absurd line?
Yeah, and so far they've been very good at it. So. All right, third. By the way, that's a noon kickoff Eastern, so 11 Central, and on ESPN. We've got ESPN must have lost the coin toss this week. We have another noon start, 11 a.m. Central. Third least interesting game this week. Which might actually have some entertainment value. You got Kansas State at Texas. Texas coming off a bye week. You got 1,365 tickets available, starting at $44. Texas favored by 7, and over under of 50.5. I'm not so sure about that line. That line makes me a little nervous, but an over under of 50.5, I might have to go over on that, actually. I can't imagine K-State. I mean, I don't know about you, King. I can't imagine Bill Snyder's group showing up as disorganized as they were against OU. But Texas coming off a bye week, they probably partied for 2 weeks because they beat OU. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about this thing?
Last week was surprising. Now, and actually it wasn't, because I've seen many a year where Oklahoma would play poorly, and then they go to Kansas State the next year or the next week. And I remember that happened. Let's see, Baylor. 2 years ago, they got just drubbed by Baylor, and then they went to Kansas State and just lit them up. I can't remember if it was Baylor or Tech. Might have been Tech. But historically, I've seen them play a crappy game, and if their get-right game is Kansas State, just sorry, Wildcats. We all expect OU to go suck, and then they go light you up. But Kansas State, this is one of the I think this is like the beginning of the end for Snyder. They'd never run him off. I'm not saying that. The stadium is Bill Snyder Stadium. But if he's been thinking about quitting, because that's the worst Kansas State team I have seen a Bill Snyder coach. Now, Ron Price, he'd give them a run for their money, but that was just – I've never seen a Kansas State team quit, no matter how bad they've been. And I've seen them take some just beatings, but at least they'd fight back. That team rolled over. And Texas has confidence. They actually are getting better. So I don't I think that, let's see, what do we got? 7 and 50.5.
Yeah, 7 and 50.5 is the over-under.
I think probably I'm thinking Texas covers and they go under.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm thinking. So this is where we're going to leave you, sports fans. King thinks they cover, and they go under. I think they don't cover and go over. What are you going to do with that?
You think Texas will win?
I think Texas. I don't know. This is one of those deals where, a buddy of mine who's just. He's like me. I mean, he lives and dies with the Sooners. But we were texting before the K-State OU game, and he was sitting there. He was doing one of my deals, my reverse psychology. Oh, K-State's going to beat us. K-State by 10. They're going to win. We're terrible. Oh, my God. And I said, shut up. I said, you can't – number one, you can't pull the reverse psychology shit with me. That's what he said. He says, I'm using Wetzel psychology. I said, you're not pulling that with me. I said, number two, OU is actually traditionally, whether or not it followed up the Red River rivalry, OU's games against K-State, where they had problems, were always in Norman. All right? They've gone up to Manhattan and played well, won games easily where a lot of people thought, hey, they might struggle in this game a little bit. So that game in Manhattan, while 55-0 surprised me, it didn't surprise me that OU won easily. Historically, at least, in recent history, I feel like they've done fairly well up there and won fairly easily. I just find it hard to believe, as bad as Snyder's team looked, as bad as they looked, against OU, I just find it hard they'll come out. And part of it could be, injuries, who knows. But I just find it hard to believe they're going to come out and look that bad again, even against a rested Texas team, where I think what happened with Texas, honest to God, I think the bye week could be bad for them because you beat OU, you've got all this excitement, you've got, what really feels like momentum, and now you've gone home and that energy is gone now. That's gone. So, I would say to add to that, it's not like Texas has some sort of what you'd call a high-powered offense that's just going to come out and, throw 4 TDs on the board before K-State even knows what happened to them. I just don't see that happening. So I see it. I'm feeling like a close game. I think there'll be more points than is anticipated, but, who knows? We're not professional gamblers by any means. So I don't know. I think we're definitely split on this game.
I don't know. It's always safe to be on the other side of me in a betting situation.
Right. And the best place is to be opposite me. So we've really got this covered. We'll both be wrong. So they'll probably who the heck knows? Texas will lose and they'll go over. Who knows? All right. The second most interesting game. This is an intriguing game. Texas Tech at Norman. This is the first of what's really going to be every weekend now. Every single weekend through Thanksgiving, there's going to be a game that is going to have a direct impact on the race for the Big 12 title. In a situation where the favorite has, the favorite could lose. I mean, there is that potential. The favorite could lose. I'm not talking about goofy upset type stuff. I'm talking about the team they're playing, whether it's on the road or at home, is good enough to beat them. Okay. Texas Tech at OU. OU's ranked 17th. Texas Tech is 2-2. OU's 2-1. Good, nice forecast. 67 degrees forecast in Norman for Saturday. Great. Sounds like it's going to be great weather for a game. You've got a little over 1,800 tickets available, starting at $42. The line, OU's laying 14. The over-under 72.5. I can tell you right now, I'd be all over the over. I mean, the line I don't know about, but that over, under, I would be all over the over in this game. I don't know about you, King.
I mean, yeah, I think you have to. It'll be real interesting to see because I don't expect we'll see either OU come out like they did against Texas or like they did against Kansas State. But historically, Mike Stoops' ability to, we won't even say stop, we'll say slow down spread teams. I mean, hell, I might as well be calling the plays. But you know, OU was able to make Kansas State very one-dimensional. You know, they said you're going to have to beat us through the air. I think if they try that same strategy this week, that won't work out so well because Tech would love it. That's the hell they prefer. They don't hardly run the ball anyhow. But I don't see a lot of hope for Tech. Mahomes is kind of beat up. But, again, I've seen several games this year with Oklahoma, the Tulsa game specifically, where a spread offense just gave them grief. And so I don't think that OU covers. I think they go way over, but I do think OU wins. Probably about, I don't know, 10 points or so. Maybe something in the
I could go with you on that.
47-37, something along that.
Yeah, I could see OU winning by anywhere from 7 to 10. I mean, 7 to 10 and the kind of a 7 to 10 deal where they may be covering and then you get that late touchdown or late field goal or something that chips into the line that you thought you had.
Like the West Virginia game. It wasn't really a game, and then they made it like a 10-point game right at the end, but the game was out of hand in like the second quarter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, but I would definitely be on the over for that. 72.5 points. I mean, you're talking 36 points each. So, you know, somebody I could easily see that score being like, well, I don't know, 42-32, King. That's 74.
Yeah, it doesn't have to get real high.
I could easily see that being 42-32, and that's 74 right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like covering that for this game is going to be easy. Now also though, I could see a scenario in which they do cover. You know, when Stoops has had good teams, and you know, like champion. Now this, I don't think this is one, but like when he was, say 2003 to 2007-8, given the opportunity, he was not afraid to make you remember that game.
Right.
But if Brother Mike can't slow down Tech, then he's not going to have the chance to do that. And I think what it'll hinge on is I think Tech will probably lose the turnover battle by a fairly wide margin, you know, like 2 or 3 more than OU will have, and then that'll be the difference. But I think it'll be the scenario you laid out, they're up by like 16 points, and then Tech 16, 17 points. Tech punches one in under 2 minutes to go in garbage time, and it's about a 10-point victory. And
yeah,
so 47-37, something along that lines.
Yeah, I'm with 42-32, 47-37, something like that. I could definitely see that happening. All right. Kansas needs to enjoy this moment. It's going to be the only time this season that they're involved in anything except the least interesting game. And this week, of course, they get the week's most interesting game because they're playing Oklahoma State in Stillwater for homecoming. And this is going to be one of those games where if all the Greeks leave at halftime after they've heard about the homecoming announcements, can't blame you because who's going to want to watch this? Because at number one, if Kansas is getting run out of the place, who's going to want to watch that? And number two, if OSU's pulling a Texas Tech this week, who's going to want to watch that? So either way, Greeks leave at halftime. Who cares? Go, leave, go get some sleep. We know you don't care about football. Get your rest. You've got, interestingly enough, there's only 493 tickets available on StubHub, and they're starting at $75. King, this is obviously a game of interest for folks. OSU, the line is 34.5. Cowboys are laying 34.5. Over under's 59, which is okay. That's kind of a weird over under. You've got the two worst rushing offenses in the Big 12 coming in. Cowboys have had a bye week. Kansas coming off the near upset of Tech. I don't know. What do you think about this, King?
Well, first off, the $75, I think more than that being interesting to people outside of Stillwater, is StubHub fleecing homecoming, because I've seen that happen.
Right.
And I do agree with this. Is one of those where if I'm going to skip a game during the year, it's this type of game where I'm like, we're either going to win by 50 or I'll be so enraged if we don't that I just don't want to watch it. And it's one of those where if something were to happen and you lose, I don't want to have wasted my life watching it. I think this one, I looked it up here. The largest margin of victory was 2011 when we won 70-28. Now, if we had a competent offense this year, I think we could blow that out of the water. As it is, I think I'm the only person that I think I'm the only Oklahoma State fan that is not a Mason Rudolph fan. I'm the last one apparently, but Kansas has no run. They have a worse run game than us. Ogba, Bean, those guys are just going to light them up all day. I think, let's see here.
Big 12 play.
You said was the over?
Right. The over's 59 even. Ogba, just a note, because I was obviously tweeting like mad, and Graham was busting my balls because he says I was getting into his offensive preview for tomorrow. I did tweet out a couple defensive things. OSU's defense in conference play is averaging 5 sacks a game. 5 sacks. So that's 5 sacks, which are included then in your tackles for loss. Or not included in that. It's separate, but it's not the tackles for loss. It's 5 sacks. 5 sacks a game.
We're about to. We might take the average to 6 a game.
Yeah.
with what's going to happen. Now, what concerns me still about our offense is I looking at the over-under and the line. What did you say the line was? The over-under was 59.
Line's 34.5.
I think again it's another one of those where we cover but go under. I think we win like 42-0, something along those lines. Maybe 49-7. I think defense is going to put the offense in positions where they can't help but make plays. What concerns me still, and we sat there and I watched the Kansas State game with you. Rudolph makes passes that against your TCU's, Baylor's, and OU, they're going the other way for points. I mean, hell, he's already done it a couple times this year. Against Kansas, I mean, it's homecoming. It's Kansas. Get the practice squad ready. They're going to get minutes. I don't worry much about this game. I'm more interested in what my consumption level will be at walk-around tomorrow night.
And just so we're clear, guys, when King says that we actually watched the game together against Kansas State, we damn near did, because we were both there, and he was sitting about 4 rows above me with his crew there. So yeah, this game, this is one of those no-win. I mean, look, Oklahoma State ought to win the game. Oklahoma State's going to remain undefeated. That's a great thing. By the way, they go to 7-0. that's going to guarantee the first time in the history of the program. Okay, we've written about this. We've talked about it on Twitter. First time in the history of the program that there's going to be a 10-year period, of any 10-year period. I'm not talking about just decades, 1971 to 1980, that type of crap. I'm talking pick any 10-year period you want. Oklahoma State's never gone a 10-year stretch without a losing record in one of those seasons. And beating Kansas on Saturday is going to do that. It's going to guarantee 10 consecutive winning seasons. Okay, so that's program history type stuff. But it's a no-win game. It's a no-win game for the Cowboys. It's just like it's a no-win game for anybody that plays Kansas. You're supposed to blow them out. You blow them out, and you're supposed to blow them out. You don't blow them out. Well, what's wrong with you? What the hell's wrong with the program? I'm really, really, really interested. Really interested. Kansas. I saw Mark Cooper from the Tulsa World tweeted some nefarious stat out about Kansas run defense, and I retweeted and said, "Don't tease me, dude. Come on, you're killing me." Because this has got the makings of, again, Oklahoma State should have some success running the ball, and then they're going to go into this deal where they're cramming it down the middle all the time. I just show some frigging imagination. I don't care that it's Kansas, damn it. Do something. Run some jet sweeps to McCleskey. I don't care. Do something that stresses the edges of the defense. Spread the frigging thing out a little bit. I don't get me going. I'm going to get pissed off about the running game. There's got to either they have no idea what they're doing. This is one of those things where I want to say either they have no fucking imagination, or they're saving it for the entire running game for November.
We've seen the imagination. We saw it in the bowl game last year in Bedlam. You're missing the beauty here, Robert. See, instead of trying to run where we have a chance, we're going to run right to where our guy sucks the most. All right. So that right side, terrible. But we're building their confidence, you see. They only need to have 30 or 40 more runs for no gain or a loss before they're going to say, screw that. We're going to play hard now. That's a strategy there. Eventually, I guess it's like
I don't know.
It's like in prison. If you drop the soap enough times, right, you're going to stop dropping the soap. Those guys have our running backs hit them in the ass every game, just repeatedly. Like, so I'm pushing forward and there's a running back up my ass. Eventually, they'll get tired of having that running back up their ass.
You got that, folks? There is our OSU's running game sucks analogy of the year right there. Our running game is the equivalent, right now. Our running game strategy is the equivalent of inmates dropping the soap, all right, in the shower. That's what it's come to. Oh, my God. So, King, you're thinking they cover, but you're going the under. See it now. I'm going opposite again here with the kind of like K-State, Texas. I'm thinking they don't cover. I agree. I think it's like a 42. I think OSU puts up like between 40 and 50. So I'd say 42, 45, 47, somewhere in there. But I think K-State ends up putting 10 or 14 on the board.
I can see it. I mean,
something silly like that where they slip in. Again, could be late. Could be an early TD. Kansas comes out. Maybe Kansas gets the ball first and they, flim-flam down the field and defense is kind of wandering around and they score a TD. They score first. Imagine if Kansas scores first. Imagine if Kansas scores first and OSU's offense goes 3 and out. You're on Twitter now. Can you imagine the meltdown on Twitter?
I'll set the phone to the side. I don't want any part of it.
So yeah, I think OSU puts 40 plus on them. I think Kansas might eke out a couple of late ones there. So anyway, so that's going to be it this week from Picks from Joe's. Oh, wait a second. Fuck Baylor. There we go. Okay, we got that in. Can't miss a week for that. And you guys want to be paying attention next week. King and I. King, you going to be on the road? I'm going to be on the road. Are you going to be on the road, King, next
I
week?
should be home.
King will probably be home. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee next Thursday night, and we might have a very, very special guest. A very well-known Oklahoma State Twitter guy might actually be a guest on Picks from Joe's next week. So be looking forward to that. Everybody have a safe week. If you're traveling to homecoming, enjoy, travel safe, and just have a great time and enjoy whatever you can enjoy. We're playing Kansas. All right. Go Pokes.